said it a million times, and I'll say it 1,003,452 times if I need to. There's no way you can hate Shedeur Sanders. Tony Grossi, a guy who is known in the Cleveland media for not being a fan favorite, for always being annoying, asking the wrong questions, starting all types of problems. Shedeur Sanders went up to him and straight up had the question for him.
Tony Grossi thought he had the perfect hot take locked and loaded until Shedeur Sanders walked in, swinging a sledgehammer made of facts, poise, and pure confidence. 1 minute, Grossi was cruising through his monologue like a man untouchable. The next, he was staring down a tidal wave of receipts and realizing the internet doesn't forget.
I'm like, he's hurting, and this is what he's best at giving interviews.
You know, it's funny. You see it that way. I see it as I think he really does think he's better than half the quarterbacks in this league.
He probably does.
I like that.
He probably does.
I like that a lot.
I be hoping you got something positive to say about me. You only say negative stuff. No. And I'm like, I ain't do nothing to you.
No, don't think that.
I ain't see nothing positive that you ever said. I see something positive.
This wasn't a response. It was a total dismantling. Shedeur didn't just win the argument. He turned Grossi's take into digital dust. Buckle up. If you're enjoying the breakdown, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you think. Cleveland's history is basically a highlight reel of self-inflicted wounds. Quarterbacks come and go like seasonal rentals. Coaches rotate faster than tires in a snowstorm. And somehow the factory of sadness keeps humming like it's proud of the title.
I initiated the conversation. After he got off the podium and was walking to the locker room, I was behind him and I not shouted, called his name for him to stop. I wanted to ask him one more question. So he didn't come directly to me.
Okay.
I actually came to him first. And we're both laughing at the end. Now, somebody asked me, well, what did I say to make him laugh? And to be honest with you, I'm trying to recollect that. And I know I said, he starts saying, why do you hate me? And my response to him was, listen, I do say positives. I've read positive things about you.
But for once, it wasn't the Browns' front office lighting the match this time. Someone else managed to make the mess. It was Tony Grossi, the longtime Cleveland media vet, who apparently thought taking shots at Shedeur Sanders would be his shortcut back to relevance. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. Grossi's been around long enough to see every Browns meltdown imaginable. He's weathered quarterback carousels, coaching graveyards, and more rebuilds than a Home Depot commercial. The man's a survivor of Cleveland chaos, sure. But he's also that one uncle still rocking acid-wash jeans, convinced they'll be cool again any day now.
I don't begrudge any player saying what's on his mind. He didn't approach them. Justin approached him. But you got to be mindful of what you say. And I think the one quote that, from what I see around the league, I could do better.
Do you think it was directed as his teammates or no? And
I don't think that.
Malice?
No,
but,
But
malice.
it could come just like when Dillon Gabriel said, I'm a competitor, not an entertainer.
Yeah.
Everyone assumed he was talking about Shedeur.
Yeah.
The same thing you could assume.
Yeah.
Yes.
When it comes to hot takes, Tony's always ready to fire. But this time, his aim couldn't have been worse. He didn't just miss the target. He managed to shoot himself in the foot on live radio. The setup sounded harmless enough. ESPN Cleveland tossed Shedeur Sanders a simple question. Do you feel ready to play? That's it. A rookie quarterback, drafted into one of the most unpredictable franchises in football, being asked if he's ready for the challenge. Seems straightforward, until Tony made it personal. So what does Shedeur say? The most textbook answer you could imagine. Of course he's ready. What else is a rookie supposed to say? Nah, I'm terrified and just holding out for a Subway endorsement. Come on. But somehow, that harmless, professional answer sent Tony Grossi into a full-blown meltdown. Suddenly, Shedeur wasn't just responding to a question. He was apparently auditioning for TikTok Influencer of the Year.
This is your big night. I mean, congrats, you had a big night. So I don't know what precipitated the laughter. I can't recall,
Okay.
but that's where it ended. And I really believe that. He had a triumphant night.
Grossi started ranting about how Shedeur was chasing cameras, addicted to viral moments, and couldn't function without the spotlight. Which is hilarious, considering the interview didn't even happen on Shedeur's own platform. It wasn't Instagram Live. It wasn't a vlog from his basement. It was ESPN Cleveland, the very network that lives off shoving microphones in athletes' faces and begging for quotes. So let's make this clear. Shedeur gets asked a question, answers it politely, and suddenly he's a diva. That logic makes about as much sense as roasting someone for eating, because you offered them a plate. Grossi's argument was so backward, you half expected him to start questioning gravity next. But somehow he kept digging. He doubled down, painting Shedeur as this fame-hungry rookie desperate for attention as QB3.
Mouth and said, let me give Shedeur Sanders a word of advice. Be locked in. And Rizzo said, this pissed me off when he talked about the hat. Now, see, guys, y'all got to understand, like I've said in these previous videos, man, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, man. You guys got to pay attention to what's going on because Rizzo said it. There's no Shedeur buzz. And the guy was like, oh, yes, it is. And this is what they come up with because Shedeur Sanders being a great teammate, consoling the kicker that just...
And then, in the same breath, he admitted Shedeur didn't even seek out the interview. That's right. Tony basically set his own take on fire. Live on air. It was like building a sandcastle and then kicking it over yourself, only to blame the ocean for the mess. And this is where Browns fans really started laughing. Because Tony Grossi wasn't just stumbling. He was unraveling faster than a cheap sweater in a dryer. Every sentence tripped over the last. First, Shedeur's desperate for attention. Then, okay, maybe he didn't actually ask for it. But still, he should watch what he says. Then comes the twist. Confidence is good for quarterbacks, but also arrogant, but also necessary, but maybe too much. The man was performing verbal gymnastics so sloppy, Simone Biles would have hung up her leotard out of secondhand embarrassment.
What does Tony Grossi have against Shedeur that he just hates on him so much? He literally is coming up with excuses
Okay, so you're using
in this interview just to say whatever and whatever just because he doesn't like him. For some reason, he has hate built up. Y'all literally see, after that video, he confronted Tony. He's like, why are you saying negative stuff about me, Tony? Just say something positive. And Shedeur wasn't bad about it. So I don't know why y'all hating on him. He handled it well. Tony got...
But here's the kicker. Right in the middle of his rant, Grossi admits what every Browns fan already knows. The offense is terrible. Not just bad, painfully bad. The kind of bad that makes you wonder if a few Ohio high schoolers could move the chains better. He says it outright. The team can't score. The offense is broken. And in doing so, he accidentally makes Shedeur's case for him. If the guys ahead of him can't get it done, maybe the rookie's confidence isn't arrogance. Maybe it's just common sense. Think about it. Joe Flacco, bless his antique bones, is out there throwing like he's burying footballs 6 feet under. Every out route looks like a lawn dart competition gone wrong. The offense sputters, defenses grin. And somehow Grossi decides the real issue is Shedeur's confidence. No, Tony. The problem isn't Shedeur Sanders believing he can do better. The problem is that Cleveland's quarterback room is starting to look like a retirement home with a playbook.
And we got a little developing story out of Cleveland. Tony Grossi of the Daily Grossi, him and Big Chops was on their podcast today. And they had some choice words to say about what Shedeur said when he was interviewed by his locker on his comments about him being ready. He wants to play now. And then talking about the quarterback play around the NFL.
But of course, Tony Grossi couldn't stop there. He kept waving around the Rams preseason game like it was the Zapruder film of quarterback play. His entire argument came down to one point. Look, Shedeur took sacks. Oh no, stop the presses. A rookie quarterback got hit behind a shaky offensive line? What a shocker. Forget the part where he didn't turn the ball over once. Forget that in Kevin Stefanski's offense, turnovers are the true drive killers, not sacks. No, Tony wanted to turn a few preseason hits into a full-blown indictment, because apparently, taking sacks is now a career-ending crime in Cleveland. Here's where it gets even funnier. Grossi conveniently leaves out Dillon Gabriel, who coughed up the football like he was being paid by the turnover. 2 giveaways in limited snaps, yet somehow that's less alarming than Shedeur not turning it over. That logic's like saying tripping on the sidewalk is worse than robbing a bank. And then comes the twist. The man flat out admits players have every right to be confident, and that Shedeur didn't even seek out the interview. Wait, what? Did he just agree with the same guy he's been roasting for 15 minutes straight? That's instant regret in its purest form. You can practically hear the gears grinding in his head as he realizes he's just argued himself into a corner with no escape route.
Shedeur Sanders found Tony Grossi, the one that, if y'all look at my last video, I talked about him having an agenda, constantly saying bad things about Shedeur. Shedeur found him after the game and addressed him. I think we all can take a page out of Shedeur's book about somebody who constantly has something negative to say about you, and you don't necessarily know how to approach it. And Shedeur calmly went over to him and said that, man, I hope you finally got something positive to say after tonight, because you're always saying something negative about me, and I don't know what I did too.
At this point, you've got to stop and ask, what's really going on here? Because this clearly isn't about football. Shedeur's answer was completely normal. Coaches want their quarterbacks to sound confident. Teammates expect it. Fans respect it. Even Kevin Stefanski backed him up, saying every guy in that locker room feels ready to play. So why did this harmless quote suddenly turn into a full-blown scandal? Simple. Guys like Tony Grossi thrive on manufacturing drama. They've been covering a team that spent decades drifting in mediocrity. And when you've watched that long, even a routine answer feels like breaking news. Cleveland hasn't had this much off-field attention since the Johnny Manziel Vegas era. And when that familiar rush of clicks and engagement hit, Grossi just couldn't resist. He saw a spark and poured gasoline on it. The irony? He accused Shedeur of chasing the spotlight while doing the exact same thing himself. The difference is, Shedeur earned his spotlight through production, records, leadership, and respect. Grossi, meanwhile, earned his moment by yelling about a rookie on live radio, backtracking mid-rant, and melting his own credibility into a puddle of contradictions. But let's not skip past the double standard here, because it's impossible to ignore. Other quarterbacks show swagger and get labeled as leaders. Caleb Williams paints his nails, and it's personality. Jackson Dart throws on gold chains, and suddenly he's got moxie.
Narrative. I don't understand your emotional investment in Shedeur.
Tony, I'm rooting for the kid. Don't worry about what my
fine.
investment is. Worry about what your investment is with your guy. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about why I like a guy. I think that kid can play better than Dillon Gabriel. I said it before the draft, and I'll stick to it. I think he got a raw deal here in Cleveland. End of story. That's how I feel. Don't tell me how to feel.
But when Shedeur Sanders gives one confident, professional answer, he's the villain. Come on. Apparently confidence is only admirable when it fits a certain mold. Everyone else gets called competitive. Shedeur gets called cocky. Funny how that works. And here's the kicker. Grossi spends all this time demanding proof that Shedeur can play, when the proof is right in front of him. The Browns' offense is lifeless. The veterans ahead of Shedeur are turning the ball over like it's a weekly routine. Even the head coach agrees with his mindset. The rookie hasn't caused drama, hasn't thrown teammates under the bus, hasn't demanded a trade. He's just been working, quietly, consistently, professionally. That's exactly what you want from a young quarterback. But instead of recognizing it, Grossi twists himself into a pretzel, trying to make confidence sound like a crime. And in the process, he accidentally gives Shedeur more good press than any PR team could have dreamed of. He ends up reminding everyone of Shedeur's college dominance, his 0 turnovers, and basically builds the perfect argument for why the rookie deserves his shot. If this was supposed to be a hit piece, it might be the worst one ever. Tony Grossi managed to play himself harder than the Browns' offense on 3rd and long. By the end of his rant, you could practically hear the regret dripping from his tone. That slow realization that nothing he said actually lined up. 6 contradictions deep. And instead of burying Shedeur Sanders, he accidentally put him on a pedestal. This is what happens when you start with a conclusion and try to twist reality around it. Reality doesn't bend, Tony. It snaps back. And it just did. A veteran reporter tried to manufacture drama, underestimated a composed rookie, and ended up looking like the one desperate for attention.
This while keeping it lighthearted. And just, this is how leaders or people win over people. I'm so curious to know if this is going to change Tony Grossi's perspective on Shedeur Sanders. And if he does start to say positive things and maybe starts to like Shedeur Sanders. But it seems as if Shedeur right now can do no wrong. I pray that he continues to walk on this path because Cleveland has needed a guy like Shedeur. We've had the Nick Chubbs of the world. We've had the Denzel Wards. We've experienced the Myles Garretts of the world and David Njoku's and Baker Mayfield's and Jarvis Landry's, but we've never experienced anything quite like Shedeur Sanders, and I'm here for every ounce of it.
Meanwhile, Shedeur walked away, looking poised, polished, and unbothered. When the biggest controversy around your team is a young quarterback saying he feels ready to play, the issue isn't the rookie. It's that the media's run out of real storylines. Tony Grossi tried to create a moment. What he created instead was a meme. And somewhere, Shedeur Sanders is probably smiling. Because once again, he proved the doubters wrong. Without even breaking a sweat. So the next time Tony Grossi decides to go on one of his rants, maybe he'll think twice. Or maybe not. Let's be real. Instant regret has become part of his brand at this point. Grossi tried to paint Shedeur Sanders as some fragile rookie who should quietly sit in the back, clipboard in hand, waiting for the elders to grant him permission to play. But reality doesn't bend to nostalgia. And Cleveland's current reality is an offense tripping over itself every Sunday. Receivers running routes to nowhere, quarterbacks launching prayers into double coverage like they're auditioning for the opposing team. That's the real picture. And in that chaos, Shedeur's confidence isn't arrogance. It's oxygen. It's what every great quarterback needs to survive in dysfunction. Because here's the truth. Cleveland isn't exactly a factory of quarterback legends. The list of past starters reads more like an NFL trivia challenge than a legacy. So when a guy like Shedeur steps in showing poise, ball security, and self-belief, you'd think fans would welcome it. Instead, Grossi tried to twist that composure into a crime.
Opportunity. I mean, sometimes,
This is how
it's
it
almost
goes.
like divine intervention.
Thank you.
It's like we're gonna create an opportunity for you, Shedeur, that no one saw coming, and this is it. Now, this isn't the only opportunity. So if he doesn't light it up, I think he gets closer to the pack. In the pack I'm talking about is Pickett and Gabriel.
Yeah.
For
So,
back-
Tom, why do then the Browns keep saying it's still wide open?
Are they saying it, or is the media saying it?
Well, with Stefanski, I guess. And Aaron and I debated this, and I said, right now,
And that's where the comedy really kicks in. He clings to the Rams preseason game like it's gospel. One exhibition matchup, vanilla play calling, backup personnel, and suddenly that's the verdict. That's the proof Shedeur isn't ready? It's classic overreaction theater. And Grossi's the one, writing the script. Imagine judging a chef's entire career because he once burned a piece of toast. That's how ridiculous Tony Grossi's argument sounded. Shedeur's 0 turnovers get brushed aside because they don't fit the story he wants to tell. While Dillon Gabriel's fumbles are treated like minor hiccups. Gabriel coughed up the football like he was handing out gifts, yet somehow Shedeur's the reckless one. Please. And the contradictions just kept piling up. In one breath, Grossi preaches that quarterbacks need confidence, that swagger's part of the job, and in the next, he slams Shedeur for having it. That's not football analysis, that's mental gymnastics. The man was flipping so fast he could have qualified for the Olympic trials, and the audience saw it happening in real time. He admitted Shedeur didn't chase the interview, admitted the Browns' offense is a disaster, admitted confidence is required, and still tried to paint the rookie as the villain. It was like watching someone build a sandcastle just to kick it down and then blame the ocean for the mess. By the end, Grossi didn't humble Shedeur. Shedeur quietly humbled Grossi. The rookie didn't need to fire back, post a clip, or say a word. The veteran journalist managed to collapse his own argument, piece by piece, until all that remained was a pile of contradictions and a fan base laughing at the irony. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because it helps more than you think. And we've got plenty more Cleveland chaos to break down next.